Hey everybody, this is Rory McDonald from MacDon and Associates coming to you with the next episode of Tuesdays with Rory. I have in the studio today local business owners, clients, newly engaged couple. Super pumped for you guys to be in the studio. This is Angie Antrim and Steve Caldwell. They are owners of Hive and Honey Candle Company here in Metro Detroit, but suppliers of candle supplies here in Metro Detroit, Michigan, and nationwide, correct? Yeah. So super excited to have you guys on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of kick us off and get us started, tell us a little bit about who you guys are, what you're all about, and what is Hive and Honey Candle Company.
All right. Well, we, like you said, we supply all different types of candle supplies. So from wicks, wax, oils, fragrance oils, pretty much like wick stickers. I mean, for pretty much anything. So candle supplies to hobbyists and other business owners so they can grow their business, make their candles, and yeah.
Yeah, right on.
They come in really handy when the power goes out, like it has like 6 times in the last. We were lucky we had all our candles out testing them last time the power went out.
Yeah.
Like, well,
they're working. Yeah. So you moved up here from another state.
Yeah. So pretty much I started around, I would say, March or April 2020, I want to say. I had started in North Carolina, but I had just started before I moved back to Michigan, because I had some sick family members. So, and being from here, it was just, it already felt like home. So I had started by just supplying wax.
Mm-hmm.
So one kind of wax. And then I moved everything here, and it just has grown since then. So now, like I said, we have the wicks and oils, and gosh, there's probably 6 different waxes. So there's 6-7 different waxes, and I'm always looking to add new products, but someone likes to keep me in check and say, make sure we have enough room in our warehouse.
well, yeah, our warehouse is kind of full because we have pillow covers don't sell quite as fast and take up the back third of the warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You have what? What is it?
pillow covers. So
For custom pillow,
yeah,
people like.
Oh, okay.
using their embroidery machine and stuff. But
I gotcha.
our focus, 99.9%, is our candle business. So
Yeah. And location wise,
mhm.
where's the warehouse located?
Is that between 15 and 16 in Groesbeck?
Oh, okay. So super local to where we are.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh yeah. Super
Okay.
close. And we moved from about 15 in Gratiot
Yeah,
to
we just
15
moved from
in
Gratiot to Groesbeck.
So it's like 2 miles.
Okay.
But it was small. The old place was like around 1,000 square feet. But we're up to about 3,000 square feet. So we definitely have a lot more room.
Yeah, for a while we had half our stock in storage, half
Mhm.
in the little warehouse we had, and then a bunch
in our house
outside with tarps over them.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't have storage.
I was like, we can't keep doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to steal. Nobody's going to run away with a 50-pound box full of wax.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But we don't want just to leave pallets of stuff sitting out.
Right.
And
So
so we finally emptied the storage, emptied the warehouse, cleaned it all up, got everything to fit nicely in this new warehouse. And we had space, and then we added some wicks and some other waxes, and now we don't have space.
It does fill quickly, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I mean, especially as you're adding clients, and it seems like there's this movement of like soaps, candles, bubble, like all kinds of different stuff, especially revolving around kids.
Yeah.
Where it's like everybody wants to get as natural as they can and as pure as they can and all that kind of stuff, which I have to imagine that's impacting you guys quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it started always I think it started really around almost like kind of COVID a little bit, because people found that they could make these products at home and then maybe just sell to their friends or through Facebook Marketplace or just some like different platforms like online. So I feel like that was kind of when I noticed an increase in sales and people like just buying more and like you said, wanting to go natural and yeah.
No, I would understand like COVID having a huge role to play in that too. You know, like it just naturally, a lot of people went natural. It just is what it is. But cool. What I don't know that I've even heard this story, but like what led to, you know, because you didn't always like, you weren't always involved in the candle company. Like this isn't a business that was passed down from generation to generation. You started this.
Yeah. So my background is in like textiles. So like bedding, duvet covers, pillow covers. So I had done that for maybe like, 15 years or so. But I always felt like I was always a crafty person. So I like to make things like I would tie-dye t-shirts or use stuff on my vinyl cutter, make mugs and just candles. And so I had gotten a candle making kit with a neighbor, and her and I made a couple candles together. So I'm like, this is a lot of fun. And it just kind of evolved from there. So I found, though, it's not as easy as one thinks to make candles because there's a lot of, it's almost like chemistry. Yeah. If you break down, like you have to have the right size wick for the wax and then the vessel size and how much oil you're going to use. So to get that perfect like combination, that perfect burn. So I had joined a few of the Facebook groups that just to kind of figure out, like, I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I'm like, well, how can I make this better? And so I found that there was a need for this one particular wax that so many other suppliers were sold out of. And I, at the time, had a warehouse in North Carolina and had extra room. And I had reached out, made a couple phone calls, and then just basically I was able to get this particular wax and then just sell it through Facebook initially. Okay. So then I'm like, okay, well, seems like it went fast within like a day, a pallet of wax. It went quickly. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I get more of this? So that's pretty much how it started. It was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I would say maybe not even 3 years ago. Gosh, because I've been here, 2 years? So maybe just over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's grown pretty quickly. So then I had just had the one kind of wax, and then I had gotten a couple other types of wax from another supplier, because there's different types. Like there's soy wax, there's coconut wax, there's tons beeswax. So then I'm like, well, they're asking about wicks now, so let me figure out how that works.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of research for sure. And still continues to be.
I bet. Yeah. I have to imagine. And then Steve, like when it comes to we talked a little bit before jumping on the cameras, everybody. I know I say this, I feel like every time I jump on the podcast, we always talk before we get on the podcast. So one of it seems like there's whenever you look at a business, there's always somebody who's like the visionary, and there's somebody who's the like execution side of the business, like the intricacies of, like, for example, I'm a little bit more of a visionary. However, there's still a necessity when it comes to like making sure documents are completed, making sure the correct information is on the MLS, for example, or it's going out to the right purchasers who are actually interested in these types of properties. That execution side, I hired out essentially like an assistant kind of deal. Like and I have a business partner too, and he similar kind of situations to you guys. But like in that instance, it sounds like, just based off of our conversation, there's like the visionary side of it and there's the execution side of it, and you can't have one without the other. There's a balance that exists with it. I'm just thinking through the lens of like, yes, I would love to add more and be able to sell more of X. Problem is we got to sell more of Y before we can do that.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like your role?
Yeah, my experience, the only thing I could really add, my jobs were, I was in the Navy. I would work for a government contractor after I get out. It was all electrical, machinists mate, electricians mate type stuff. But as far as business, I was like, well, I've worked on a lot of warehouses and I've run warehouses, like the delivery. I'm like, I can do that. I know that. So she's like, okay, well, how can we structure this? And then immediately, like, my brain starts sectioning off. Okay, this needs to be here. Reduce the distance walking back and forth between here. Like, I'm like, I can, if I'm only focused on that, I can do that. But I like to think big picture too. Yeah. But I just make for this, for the candles, I just make myself warehouse. Yeah. And I'll put ideas, and she always asks, and
I feel like you're a visionary though, and I'm more, I don't want to say executioner, but because I'll ask, like, he'll come up with different suggestions. Like, I think it was actually you that suggested about doing the sample packs a long time ago, long time ago.
Because I was tired of counting the 12 packs. I was like, just get a sample pack and try them.
Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't, like, in my brain at that time. I'm like, okay, well, that's a good idea. And we eventually have those. I mean, we have those now.
They're a pain in the butt because they order, like, the premieres. There's like
25.
25 different. Go to all 25, bag each individually, because we can't mix them, because some of them you can't tell. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's helpful for a customer because they, I feel like they're like, okay, well, I'm not 100% sure what wicks are going to work in this jar. So if they have a sample pack, they'll get 5 of each size in that series. Like if it's Eco, Premier, HTP. So, and then that way they'll have for future, if they switch out their jar or they'll switch out a wax, they'll be like, okay, these wicks are good. Let me see which one will work the best. So I feel like it's good overall. But I feel like he's definitely more, he'll just throw out some random ideas and stuff like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, oh, I think you even suggested, which we just haven't done yet, although I want to, is a kit, to a candle making kit, where we would supply the wax, the wicks, the oil, and the jar, just like what I had bought when I first got started. So, we just don't have anything like that yet. Sure. But you had suggested that a long time ago.
I did. Mm-hmm. All I know is now that we're doing the sample packs, we need to get rid of the 12 packs, because if you're testing out, like, do you need to do it 12 times? Like,
so this is what I mean by the execution side of it, though. So, like, there's a vision of, like, hey, I want to be able to get people the variety that they're looking for. I want to be able to do that 100%. And you're going, yes, here's how we do that. This is, let me move things around. So, like, it's not like a 1A and 1B. It's a, like, yes, here's how we do it. Yeah. Or, hey, I want to do this. Sweet. Yeah. Actually, I was kind of thinking about that. So it's cool seeing it
that way. We bounce.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, like, if I say, well, what about this? And she's like, I know there's a reason. So I'm not going to be like, well, what about my idea? Like, I trust that she knows what she's doing.
100%.
So I know she's like, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this in some ways, like, it started off as a hobby. I'm going to start making candles. I'm going to led to, I see a need that exists within the community, whether that's just a Facebook community or that's a local community. Like, you saw there was a need that existed, and you said, hey, there's an opportunity here for me to supply something that people are actually looking for and be able to provide a need that exists in the community and serve them in that way. And also be able to monetize this to where this has become your job.
It definitely is. It's full time.
Yeah. So what
full time plus?
There you go. Yeah, that's what it's like.
Long hours lately.
Yeah.
That's isn't that a real thing? Like, you if I think back to, like, other jobs that I've had, and it was gosh, I'd really love to work less. Maybe I'll become self-employed. And now it's like, 90 hours a week is a lot more than what I was working before. But there's so much more enjoyment, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot more agency. Like, the good thing about, like, a 9 to 5 is you go 9 to 5 and then you're done. Yeah. When you leave, for most 9 to 5 jobs, your responsibilities end. For most, like, unless you're a manager,
you leave it at work.
Yeah.
You leave work and go home.
Yeah.
But when you have a business, you can't ever leave work.
I'll answer emails at 10 o'clock at night sometimes. Yep. I have to sometimes be like, okay, can this wait till the morning? But, I try to check in,
Yeah.
I think about
because I've been there, I understand too, you know, from the customer, and I've yeah, I understand.
Sure.
I was gonna say, I think about like the guy we were watching about managing your money, and he was talking about houses versus renting, and he's like, it depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you kind of got to get an idea first, and then what are you trying to do?
I think for us as and we talked about this before, is just trying to provide knowledge to customers, because it does sound so simple, like a candle. Oh, I'm gonna light this candle. It just, especially when you see them in stores, I mean, they're like, you see candles from maybe like $5-10. You're like, oh, that's just a candle, whatever. And but they're maybe not ideal. Like, they're just made in a factory, so they're not the conditions, the environmental conditions. Like, maybe they'll have sooting issues, or it doesn't stay lit, or so people, I feel like they're like, you know, oh, it's just this basic candle, but there is a lot to it. So as far as finding the right size and the right type of wax and what size jar you want to use. So I try to, at this point, is just provide knowledge to people. So like, I'm doing a wick testing guide or blog where I have one jar that I'm starting with, one size. I'll eventually do some of the other sizes, but just testing every single wick that I, you know, like usually like 4 to 5. I know what the range that the wicks will fit in that jar with that wax. I kind of know, and I'll test every single one and find out which one works, you know, with that jar. Yeah. I mean, there's some variables, like if you have a heavier fragrance oil, you might need a higher, like one size up, or if you have a lighter oil, you might need one size down. But that's all discussed in the blog. So just try to provide knowledge to people so it's not so overwhelming. For sure. I can understand that. So one of the things that I was really like, I wanted to press hard, because this is something that I care about in so many ways. I mean, food, work, sports, is this idea of quality over quantity, right? Like, reality is it would be really easy for you to hoard and have a lot of the supplies and be able to supply people all of the supplies that they need at any given moment, at any given second, and look at your books and go, we're selling all kinds of stuff. This is great. It's the best. Like, a lot of businesses think that way, and they don't care as much about the quality. And that's one of the things that I really wanted everybody to hear, because there's people out there, I'm sure, that are listening to this and going, you know, it's crossed my mind, the idea of doing creating candles in my own home, because then I know what's actually going into it. Because that's one of the things that, like, in my house in particular, my wife struggles with, like, the some of the aromas that exist in these candles are so strong that, like, it's overpowering, and it's like, it smells chemically. You know what I mean? And I think that's just like you said it, like, reality is when you're spraying something off with Lysol before you pump wax into a glass jar and stick the same candles, everything else, and it's all a metal machine making it. That's what you get. You know? And all the oils that we do carry are like phthalate free, like they're non-toxic, mutagen free, cruelty free, like they're all natural that way. So like no like chemicals, bad chemicals. So, and then the wicks have natural wax coating. So we definitely tend to steer towards the natural, side of things. Well, that's awesome. And I say all that just to say, on your website, which I have it scrolling across the screen for any of you guys who are interested in checking out their website, on that screen or on your website, excuse me, on that website, you have some of the testing that you're doing. So you're not just looking at this and going, hey, everybody, I have wax and wicks. You're going, hey, I have wax and wicks, but let me show you. Don't just go buy the wicks. Pick the wax you want, and then we'll have a conversation around what wick will work best about what you're putting this in potentially. Exactly. So coming back to the training aspect, or the coaching through. Try to provide more knowledge, like a resource, versus just like, oh, buy this. Here you go. Have fun. Good luck. So more just like, hey, I recommend this, or what size is your jar? And I try to answer those questions too when they come through on email or like Messenger, Instagram. People message through, and they'll ask specific questions like, I have this size and it's not burning quite right. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe try like a smaller size, and I'll suggest the size. So, so it is a lot of trial and error, but we're here to definitely answer those questions for people, provide knowledge.
Yeah. I love it. So what, I want to get back into this just for a minute too, while we're here. We're about 20 minutes in, so we don't have a ton of time, but I want to get into it. But I care a ton about local businesses, and I know that you guys too do as well. Like the idea of going local versus, going to the big box store. Like reality is there's some instances in which you just need to, it happens. It's the real world, but like super hyper focused on, hey, if there's an opportunity for me to support a local business, I want to do it. I want to be focused on that. And really like taking your story of going like from the beginning of, I just made a candle in my kitchen with my friend to where you guys are at now, where you have a 3,000 square foot warehouse filled with candle supplies that you're supplying to the United States. That's huge. But that journey of entrepreneurship, I feel like is one that's lacking in some ways in the next generation. And it's one that I like so badly want ignited. And so if there's anybody out there who's listening, who's like, hey, I want to be like, I want to have my own business. I don't know what to do. What would you say to somebody out there who's thinking through that lens?
I would just say, I think it's different for everyone, but for me, I just feel like just find something that you like to do. So, I mean, there's a balance of like, if you turn your hobby into a job, then sometimes it becomes a job and not a hobby. Like there's definitely a balance there, but I just feel like just do something that you enjoy doing. Like I like making candles. I have always since, I bought that kit with my friend. So, and I enjoy, providing information and, like testing the different oils that we get in. We're like, ooh, what is this? Ooh, this is like warm sugar cookie. This is nice. Like I like doing that stuff. So I enjoy like what we do. I would just say is just, follow your, find something that you enjoy doing and just start from there. I mean, it's, and then there's a lot of different, if it's something that's crafty, you could just join a couple Facebook groups and or find some other like hobbyist or depending on what it is.
So surround yourself with those people too.
Yeah. What would you say?
What would I say?
Yeah.
I think surrounding yourself with those people is a big thing, but then there's also, I think a lot of times what happens in our world is people get so focused on like the intricate details of how I need to start X.
Yes. That is
they get caught in the weeds and they end up never doing it.
There's this book. Oh gosh. It's called, I told you about it. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim.
Yeah.
So, because what happens is that, like you said, they're like, oh gosh, I really like this, but I don't know how to do this. Or what about that? What about this? So, and then they have all these questions in their head and they just don't end up doing anything. So sometimes you just have to like jump in, take the plunge. You'll figure it out. Just do it.
Yeah.
Cause, it might not be, I don't know. I just feel like you just don't get too caught up in the details initially.
Yeah. They can become very paralyzing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real thing. That's for sure. And then with Hive Honey Candle Company, as we're wrapping this up, do you guys also, I know you sell the supplies. Do you have a candle line you guys have as well?
We do have some candles. It's not been a main focus just because we have been so busy with the supply end of it. So, but it's definitely something that will be called Caldwell House Candles.
Caldwell House Candles. I love it.
We have two lines we're working on. One's called 12 Ancient Greeks, and each month has a different. I think we have to do Socrates next, I think.
Goes along with the providing knowledge theme.
And then the other one's Ohm trees from like Celtic, like the trees had meanings or whatever. Just and it's candles.
A good Coldwell.
Yeah.
I like it.
White was a white pine is the first one.
Okay.
Or birch.
Because
they use it in cribs. It means new birth, new beginnings, and that's why they build cribs with birch. So use birch as January. Yeah. New beginnings, new.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's fun.
A little history.
Are they able to find that on the website too?
We don't have it linked up yet because it's still
We're still
super early.
putting them together.
Okay.
Yeah, super early, but it's definitely something we're working on.
Okay.
It's fun.
We're going to keep
Awesome.
doing them too. I think next year we might do like 12 American presidents and pick 12 that nobody
Yeah.
you know,
No one
knows
pays
much
attention
about.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the Lincolns and the Jeffersons.
Yeah,
and
give
the-
them some
yeah.
crazy facts.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. No, this is super thankful for you guys coming in the studio, and making time for
thanks
today,
having us.
and being a part of the podcast, telling everybody a little about what led to you guys starting Hive and Honey Candle Company and what it's all about. Super thankful for you guys.
Yeah, well, if anyone needs supplies, check us out, hiveandhoneycandleco.com. And then we have a Facebook group that goes along with the providing knowledge. Like people will write in like, hey, I have this jar. What do you think will work the best? Or they'll just share their projects that they're working on, or they're like, oh, this is my booth at the craft fair. So it's nice.
Nice.
We have about 1,400 members so far.
That's a lot of people. So you guys out there,
Yeah.
go check that out. I know some of you are candle makers, so you guys need to get in contact with these guys. Probably can come and view your warehouse and have a conversation with you there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in learning more about Hive and Honey Candle Company, go check out their website. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to put you in contact with Steve or Angie and set you guys off from there. Super thankful for you all joining today's episode of Tuesdays with Rory. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Besides that, you guys have a very blessed day.